Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
Good afternoon. It is Wednesday and I've done one video this morning. Yesterday we got Amelia weighed. She's heavier. That kind of happens with kids. She could do with actually bulking up a bit more than she is currently, but she was quite sick the week before, and I think that, well, it definitely impacted the amount she was drinking. And who wants to drink milk when you've got a cough and you're phlegmy anyway? But yeah, so she's fine. We've got Albert's birthday this weekend at my parents', but before then it's a beautiful day. I want to have some lunch and I want to go for a walk. Finally made it out for a walk. Put the beef stew on and legged it. Anyway, I realise it's like got to Wednesday and I haven't really covered much. So I have a few things to talk about. Primarily the 27th of January, which is Holocaust Memorial Day. So this has always been quite an important day for me because of the family connection, but now more so it's really quite odd now that I'm a German citizen to think about Holocaust Memorial Day. And so there's a couple of stories in my family, obviously, as you might imagine, it being Jewish on my mother's side. Both my grandparents on that side were Jewish, and they never ever talked about what happened to them during the war. They wouldn't, and so all the information we've gleaned is sort of through diaries and sort of tangential conversations and what have you, but also there's quite a lot of letters and there were quite a lot of records kept. So what we categorically know is that my grandmother's parents were both killed. They both died in a concentration camp, and my grandfather's younger brother also. Which in the grand scheme of things means as a family, bizarrely, they actually got off quite light. Most of them made it out. My grandparents obviously did. My grandfather's parents got out. His elder brother got out, and all their cousins escaped. And that's remarkable. And it's always amazing the stories of hope that come out of such horrible circumstances. But my grandfather's younger brother, I still feel that is an unresolved story. We know exactly what happened to him. My dad's done extensive research and we have all of the documents and what have you. But knowing isn't a resolution. It helps a bit, but it doesn't, it doesn't exactly heal the wound. And the thing that troubles me most about that story is about, he essentially believed that he was a violinist, and he was touring around Europe, and he thought he could sort of circumvent the terror that was coming, and that he was well enough connected that he'd be able to see it through, which is, in hindsight, incredibly naive. And what always strikes me as such a preventable death and such a sad story. And Albert, whose birthday it is on next week, and whose birthday party goes at the weekend, has the middle name of my great uncle Peter, and in that way there is a connection. But it still feels like an unresolved story to me. It's something that I'd like to see us as a family sort of do a bit more around, but there's a bit of resistance, let's say, about sharing a story of someone who isn't around any longer to give their permission. Anyhow, suffice it to say, Holocaust Memorial Day is important. It's important because there were a lot of groups targeted who died in enormous numbers. It still continues in some form with different genocides around the world, and it's not about preventing the obvious bit, which is people being rounded up and murdered. It's about preventing the things that get you to that place. That's the bit that bothers me the most, and the bit that I feel as a society we do the least to try and deal with. Things like looking after unaccompanied child refugees. It's things like not using inflammatory language to describe people of different descents and origins. And it's about creating a society that is compassionate for those who are different and not aggressive towards. That's where I feel we fail and are increasingly failing, and that's why I think the day is important. And the moral of the day that always comes out is it has happened before, so it could happen again. And I think that's important that people realise that and they don't dismiss it as just something that is gone in history. One of the reasons I bring it up is because on Friday at 11 p.m. In the evening, the UK formally leaves the European Union, a body that's set up to prevent, European nations falling out with one another again in a manner akin to the Second World War. And people need to be nice to one another. Gloating about it, celebrating us leaving is not a positive thing. If you cannot see how this makes European citizens in the United Kingdom, or people of European descent in the United Kingdom, feel, then you have missed the point entirely. Be nice to one another. You may not want to be part of the European Union, fine, you won't be. But many people, the majority of people in Britain in fact, do. And therefore, it is probably best not to gloat. It's what a decent human being would do. However, there is a significant minority who have always used this as a form of casual racism, and the only reason they want to leave the EU is because of some perceived threat from immigration and minorities. And if I see those people, they're very obvious, their language is very clear, behaving in a way that I don't feel is appropriate. They will certainly be receiving, at best, a piece of my mind. Suffice to say, nothing actually changes for the remainder of this year in terms of Britain's relationship with the EU. It's just that we are technically not in it. Freedom of movement continues, trade continues as normal. What happens after that is anyone's guess, because nobody has a realistic plan. I think it was Douglas Adams who once said, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound they make as they fly past. But in all seriousness, working on these parade videos, the problem is that it's a constantly moving feast. And in some cases that is the deadline that's moving, and in other cases it is the actual content. So I thought I had till the 9th of February to finish all 4. I've done 3 of them, and but actually I don't, because the person who needs to approve them is actually going away somewhere else before then. So actually the deadline's really tomorrow, which is fine, we'll get there. It's just a bit of a, unwarranted, probably the best way of putting it. But anyway, yes, the problem is I've done so many of these videos over the years that finding the previous year's version is really tough. I probably need to audit them all and change how I've laid them out, because at the moment it's a bit all over the place. Anyway, I need a bit of exercise, so I'm going for a stroll. Whilst I'm here, I might as well do the word of the week. Now, it occurs to me that I talk constantly about doing videos for London's New Year's Day parade. Like, it must be maybe the second most common topic of conversation. And I've never done parade as a word of the week. It's an interesting word. It's an interesting idea because they don't occur that much in Europe. But let's do the parade as the word of the week. Now, first of all, in German, it's very simple. It's die Parade, and it's spelt the same. Die Parade. di parada. So that is German for the parade. In Italian, slightly different, but not very different. It's la parata. La parata is parade in Italian. So there we go, that's parade in German and Italian. And that was this week's word of the week. Parade is probably pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the week as it stands. Hopefully you might get to do something more fun than that tomorrow, but the weather is looking like it's going to be terrible for the next week, so I might be stuck indoors staring at a screen, which means it might be a sign-off very shortly. In the meantime, I'm going to go and look for some new shoes because it turns out I'm going to be doing quite a bit of travelling between now and the middle of July. I think I touched on this briefly before, but at the moment, certainties in the diary are I'm going to Paris in the middle of March to film an event there and live stream it. I'm going to Dublin at the beginning of July to film for a state challenge, and we're going on holiday to Valencia, the three of us, at the end of April. But also possibles so far are another trip to Paris also in March, to film something else, and another American trip which is cheerleader based in August, and maybe a summer holiday, who knows. Where are we off to today, baby? We're going to the cheese man, obviously, to buy cheese because we do that quite a lot, and we're going together so Mummy can have a rest, because to be fair, Crystal's been up a lot the last few days and she's not feeling 100%. And a bit of time away from this munchkin is very relaxing by comparison. So we're going for a walk together and going to see what we see. Also, I think I've finished all the videos I have to do this week, so that's good.